you heard of Anchor? Well, if you have not heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. So let's get started today. Download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. It's free, it's simple, and it's convenient. You can distribute your podcast from your phone or your computer. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So let's get started. You can also download your podcast to various podcast channels like Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. So let's get started today. Download the app, the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm and get started. Now stay tuned for MiThyme Motivation. Greetings and salutations to you all, and thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of MiThyme Motivation. Of course, it's your host, Tasha Ryder. I hope that everyone is well today. My prayers are with you. And as with all things, we're going to send out a thank you to all the families across the world who are making the sacrifices that you're making each and every day, doing what you need to do to ensure the world continues to go around for you and your family, your loved ones, and your friends. Thank you. Thank you to all the essential workers out there as well. And with that being said, we want to get started. What a blessed, lovely day we're having here today. I am commanding the day. I was up early this morning and I am just grateful to still be here. And I want to do another powerful episode with you. And today's episode is on the American dream. And so let's talk about that, the American dream. I'll start from when I was a small child. Typically, it was about going to school every day and being a child and enjoying the power of education and feeling empowered to learn and be happy. And then as you get older, you begin to aspire towards bigger dreams, bigger goals towards the American dream. You were excited about your parents. Your parents were career professionals or blue-collar workers. They had jobs, they had benefits, they had homes, they had a great place to stay or a great place to live. There were great neighborhoods throughout the USA to live in. These were some of the tangibles of what I saw in my life that were part of the American dream. And it's not that I came from a wealthy family. That was not the case at all. However, we had what I refer to as a wealth of love, a wealthy type of love. And it was permeated throughout all of the family, from the greats and the great grandmothers and the great granddads and the grandmothers and granddads and mom and dad and relatives and so on and so forth. So that was what I felt as a young person, just an immense sense of love amongst family. And so that was what I grew up thinking was part of the American dream. And there were certain goals that as children we were told we would have to aspire towards, things that we would have to complete. Our education was one of the primary things I could remember being discussed in my household. And then it was that you were going to go into the military. My dreams were a little different because I had dreams to become educated in higher education at a university. And so those were some of my goals during that time. And I was very inspired to be a person who could celebrate as early as I can remember, the age of 6, graduating from my awesome and amazing grade school with great teachers who were so called to teach, not just there for a job. They really loved children, loved education, and loved teaching. Sounds like a novel idea when you think about how long ago that was. But I was very, very appreciative about the stepping stones and these building blocks that were allotted towards me by my parents choosing to follow suit and send me to this particular elementary school. And so I remember graduating, and I was in one of the top tiers of the top 10 of the kindergarten courses or classes. And I remember a group of moms after graduation said to me, "What are you gonna do after you graduated from this kindergarten class?" And my mind was much different than the question. My mind was thinking light years ahead. Let me tell you how far. I said, and my response was, "I'm going to college." And I remember all of these beautifully gorgeous women saying to me, and they laughed, and I said to myself, I looked a little perplexed, and I said, "What is everyone laughing about?" And so one of the moms must have read the expression on my little face there and said, "Oh no, dear heart, we're laughing because you seem to think that you can go from kindergarten straight to college. There's a whole bunch of grade years in between, and then you can go to college." And then I said, "Okay, I'll do that, and then I'm gonna go to college. I'm still going to college." And that set my course. I always knew. And my mom was so stunned because she could see the seriousness on my face. She was thinking, how am I going to pay for a college education? And so I was the first of my parents' children to really possibly put that into the atmosphere. Yes, I'm going to go to college. And I was only 6 years old. And of course, as you can see me on LinkedIn, I am definitely a college graduate. And I've gone much further than I probably thought at 6 years old. But of course, I always felt great about the power of education. And so I did that. So that became the American dream for me, is just your ability to educate. And I remember one of my nannies saying to me, "Well, what are you going to do now that when you go to college, what are you going to do, or what will life look like for you?" I started rambling out off the top of my head as if I were writing a dissertation, all these things that I was going to do when I discovered college, university, graduation, and what life would look like after that time. And I decided to tell her the reason why I really wanted to go to college is because it's the one thing that no one can ever take away from you: your education, your mind. And so I leave that with you today for all of you young people out there that may be listening, and for some adult learners that are on the fence as to whether you should or should not go. I know I have watched and listened to many videos on YouTube and lots of different podcasts where people are telling their testimonies, but it's as if education is more so an afterthought because people don't know what to do after you educate yourself. Where will you work? Where's this big, huge company that you will work for? And for the doubters of the world, it makes sense, I guess, logistically, when you think about companies going under and businesses failing, that maybe this American dream is no longer available to people. And I too fell to that same mentality to a degree, because there was no large company at some point for me to work for, and I want to say, just because a large corporation cannot figure out how to strategize and how to be successful with employing people and doing the right thing, does not necessarily mean that you cannot find in your pathway to education and then graduation that you will not find a company to work for of your dreams. Those organizations are still out there. You may just have to expand your search. So your search may be further than the USA. Or if you're a global listener, your search may not be where you reside globally, but it could be within the reach of the USA. So I think for me now, the American dream looks different. That's the realization I had to make. It looks different for everyone. There were 3 things that people were always aspiring towards. You would hear this often, especially at the university level. People wanted to obtain their bachelor's, their master's, or a PhD for many years, and acquire their family or start a family and build a family and grow a family and acquire real estate, which was your home. And many people now know that to be a liability because more money is going into it than what's actually coming back into your pockets. And so I too in my life have lived through the American dream. I do have a family. I am educated and I love education, and I have aspired towards achieving higher education and achieve that at the university level. And also I have the same mindset about the American dream, and I believe it looks different for everyone. So what I challenge you here today with is to write your own American dream, because America in many instances has failed many people in providing the bare minimum dreams of living in a country where you were free. And the question for some people have been, are you really free? And so this is also a controversial topic, and one we're definitely not going to be able to unpack in a few minutes. I'm already past the time that I would really be on here, but I really wanted to put this out here so that if you are a younger generation individual, you start painting a picture about what the American dream looks like to you and to your family, and really writing it down so that you don't forget it and that it becomes etched in your mind. It resonates with your spirit. So really take some time to think about that today. Be empowered, be inspired, release whatever negativity or negative energy you have about these intense times, because I believe it will block some of the positive energy you have about the American dream. This America is very unfamiliar to many people who have been around for quite some time living in this world, but I still believe that America is better, America can do better, and prayerfully, with a lot of love and a lot of change, we will be better as Americans. Thanks so much for tuning in to MiThyme Motivation. It's your host, Tasha Ryder. I love you with the love of Jesus, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we'll talk soon.